to begin with our presentation, we will be doing the endocrine system, and the endocrine system controls all of the glands in our body that make hormones. The endocrine system's main job is to keep our body at homeostasis. It helps regulate growth, mood, sexual function, and metabolism. And some of the most important glands in the endocrine system are the pancreas, which we'll be focusing on the most because of diabetes, which regulates blood glucose, the adrenal gland, which increases blood glucose and increases the heart rate, thyroid gland, which regulates our metabolism, pituitary gland, which stimulates growth, the pineal gland, which regulates sleep patterns, and then the ovaries and testes, which are female and male sex characteristics. Endocrine disorders result when hormone levels are too high, too low, or when they fail to respond to the body. So for example, we'll be looking at diabetes. This is a case in when the pancreas fails to use or make insulin. So there's two types of diabetes. Type 1 is when the pancreas fails to make insulin, and this can just be caused by genetic factors or some unknown factors. Type 2 is when the pancreas is able to make insulin, but the cells do not respond. So this kind of comes up when you have bad dietary or lifestyle factors, and you are more likely to obtain type 2 diabetes if you are obese. So we have a drawing here. The pituitary gland and pineal gland are on the brain, thyroid is in your neck area, and the pancreas right here is what creates the insulin. So a couple symptoms of type 2 and type 1 diabetes is increased thirst and hunger or urination, fatigue and numbness, unexplained weight loss, and blurred vision.
Millions of people around the world suffer with diabetes every day. Although it is not a curable disease state, it is very treatable with alterations to the daily living. As of March from this year, diabetes mellitus accounted for $237 billion in direct medical costs. In 2017, it incurred $327 billion in total costs for diagnosing diabetes mellitus. Over $1,500 was spent on insulin alone and over $1,700,000 on other prescription medications. 114 million days of work were calculated as lost due to diabetes-related complications.
One of the biggest problems in the U.S. today is the increasing prevalence of obesity. In the U.S., 1 in every 3 adults are obese, which is about 78 million adults, and about 17% of the children are obese, which is around 12 million children. Those who are obese are at a higher risk of type 2 diabetes, making this an important issue.
A close look at your blood glucose levels, medications, exercise, and diet are all treatments for diabetes. For type 1 diabetes, since the body doesn't produce insulin, insulin can be inserted in the body through injections or using a continuous pump. The pump is programmed to deliver a certain amount of insulin throughout the day. Insulin comes in 4 types, which include rapid acting, which takes effect within a few minutes and lasts 2 to 4 hours, regular or short acting, which takes effect within 30 minutes and lasts 3 to 6 hours, intermediate acting, which takes effect 1 to 2 hours and lasts up to 18 hours, and long acting, which takes effect 1 to 2 hours and lasts beyond 24 hours. For some people with type 2 diabetes, diet and exercise are enough to keep diabetes under control. Others may need medication, which can include insulin and an oral drug. When you eat and how much you eat are just as important as what you eat. Doctors will recommend eating 3 small meals and 3 to 4 snacks throughout the day to maintain proper balance of glucose and insulin. Exercise improves the body's use of insulin and could lower blood glucose levels. For people with either diabetes, exercise can prevent the risk of heart attack or stroke.
Recognizing when you take insulin and when you eat is important in managing your type 1 diabetes. Another aspect of managing your type 1 diabetes through nutrition is food is accounting for the number of carbohydrates you will eat before a meal. The last aspect of maintaining your diabetes through nutrition and meal management is maintaining an appropriate amount of kilocalories through energy. Carbohydrates decrease the breakdown and release of glucose from glycogen in the liver. They facilitate conversion of glucose to glycogen for storage in liver and muscles. Carbohydrates activate the transport of system of glucose into muscles and adipose cells. Protein inhibits protein degradation, diminishes gluconeogenesis, stimulates protein synthesis, and lowers blood amino acids in parallel with blood glucose levels. Fats inhibit lipolysis, prevent excessive production of ketones and ketoacidosis, facilitate conversion of pyruvate to free fatty acids, stimulating lipogenesis. They activate lipoprotein lipase, facilitate transport of triglycerides into adipose tissue.
He was recently diagnosed with type 1 diabetes mellitus. His beginning symptoms were that he was feeling thirsty all the time and frequently needing to use the
I
restroom.
don't understand why I was diagnosed with diabetes. I'm an adult now, so this shouldn't have happened.
I understand you're upset, David, and you're not alone. 1.25 million American adults and children suffer with type 1 diabetes every day.
But why am I getting this as an adult?
Onset of disease is unknown, but linked to genetics. Maybe you have a strong family history.
But how am I supposed to go on living? What can I even eat?
A healthy diet for you is very similar for what is recommended for everyone. Foods containing carbohydrates should be accounted for while meal planning, but never eliminated. Let's talk about your blood pressure levels. Normal levels are 120/80. HDL cholesterol is also important for you to look into. 40 milligrams is important to maintain or less. A1C levels are a measure of blood glucose concentration over the past 3 months and can signify the health of a diabetic like you. Long-term effects of high HbA1c can lead to diabetic complications such as cardiovascular disease, nerve damage, kidney damage, eye damage, and foot damage.